Okay, welcome to the episode 1 of the Fuzz Club. Thank you all for being on here.
Thanks for having us. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So the idea behind this, for anyone checking this episode out, is basically it's a book club, but for the Fuzz. It's we're gonna pick an album and we're gonna listen to it and we're gonna all meet back up and talk about it. So that's what we did. And the first episode here is Cave In, Heavy Pendulum, which is a kind of a big album. I saw a lot of people talking about it, a lot of people posting about it. I didn't really know who Cave In was prior to this. This didn't sound familiar, but I guess this is like their 7th album, so they are not new to this. But I thought it was great. So did anyone not like it? I guess let's start there. Does anyone not like this album?
Shit.
It's grown on me. I'll say that. The first few tracks are like a little bit more like a little thrashier, and I'm just, oh man, why would they pick this album? And then that third track, I forget what that third track is just beautiful. I'm pulling up the song list now.
Yeah.
But by the time we get to Floating Skulls, I was all right. I'm settling in, and then Heavy Pendulum, like the title track, is excellent.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, and then by like Blinded by the Blaze, I was like, all right, I get it. This is cool. I'm in.
There's kind of like a little bit of something for everyone, and that's how it was described to me when I was first told about this album. Was like, since I didn't know who the band was, I was like, well, there's no way that this is like stoner rock, because I would have heard about them by their 7th album, you know. And then it was like, oh, now I get it. I mean, you can be like a progressive fan, you can be a metal fan, you can be a stoner or a sludge fan. I mean, it's kind of got a little bit of everything for everybody in it, I thought. So
yeah, definitely. There's a lot of melodic parts and then really heavy like detuned guitars and lots of effects on the pedals and mix of everything for everybody, really.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I went back and listened to some of their older stuff. I don't know if anyone else did the same, but the other like 6 albums, and I did not get that feeling from the other 6 albums. I mean, this album was way different than their older stuff to me, and light years better, in my opinion, and heavier and more interesting and everything.
I agree with you there. I kind of speed listened to their other albums, and I had seen a press release previously that was kind of like, this is like the apex of all of their sounds coming together, because like they've had so many different sounds in the past, and they've done so much. And like you said, this is a much more mature album.
Yeah. And I don't know what that is exactly. I know that there were some changes in their lineup. This was the first without Caleb Schofield, which I guess was a longtime member of Cave In. But I think it was pretty much the same cast aside from him. So I don't want to put it on him because I don't believe he's alive anymore. But I don't know. Had a good step here on this after that.
Yeah, man, this album was superbly recorded, mixed, and mastered. Holy shit, man. I actually, just to throw this in there, man, I listened to it like very thoroughly last night, man, and it reminded me of some of the music as you get through some of the heavier stuff in the beginning. Dude, I saw a lot, or personally, because I grew up with a lot of classic rock. Dude, I felt like a lot of like Styx and Boston kind of vibe, there towards the end, that Amaranthine. Holy shit, man.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. See, that's an interesting take, because I was like, I wish this is what Mastodon still sounded like. As I went through that album the whole time, I was like, God, if Mastodon still sounded like this, I would be such a huge fan of their newer stuff.
You know what I love too, man, is I love the solid vocals, and then it breaks into the sludge. And the other band that I really, really love that I think is totally underrated is Frail. Does this very well too. The female band Frail. She sings so fucking beautifully, dude. And then they break into this fucking sludge, and it's heavy as hell. Personally, man, that eats in my soul, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I definitely was more clinging to a lot of the sludgier elements. I was pretty bought into New Reality. I was just, because I didn't really know much about Cave In. As I recall, they were more of like hardcore bands. I was a little surprised. And then that kicked in, and just the riffs were just spot on. You know, especially there's a coming from it, I guess, as the guitarist, one of the things that I really noticed was just how they recorded the guitars in terms of having such a high, you know, gain, you know, dirty sound while also maintaining a lot of clarity. I thought it was really fascinating and a really interesting choice.
Yeah. So you brought up like a hardcore element, and that might come from the fact that at least one or maybe two of the members were in the band Converge. And I don't know Converge very well, but that was how it was presented to me also, was like, this is like the Converge guys, like a side project, a more stoner version of that, which I don't know if you can get that feel or not, and I don't know Converge that well. But as soon as I heard it, I heard Mutoid Man. First time I heard it, I was like, this is like Mastodon meets Mutoid Man. And then after I looked into it a little bit, the reason is because it's the exact same singer in both bands. So that's why.
That would explain a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, man.
Did any of you like research this album? Like, to me, listening to this, it feels a little bit like a concept album. Does anyone have any insight on that?
I felt like it was a concept album too. I really did, man. I felt like it told a story kind of from the beginning, and the climax was kind of heavy Pendulum, and then it kind of mellowed off from there. But I felt like, and I'd like to get more into the lyrics to read the lyrics and see what they say. But I definitely felt that, man. It was kind of a concept album.
Yeah, I remember looking into it a little bit, and it doesn't say anything about the album as a whole, but Blood Spiller, it says, was written in response to several events that occurred in 2020, and I'm sure we can all guess what those events were.
Yeah, because it says you know, the album was written 2021 during the pandemic. The album was written. I think it might have even been like recorded and stuff then too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of seeing this wave of pandemic albums that are coming out and how different bands are reacting to it. You know, like our album was a pandemic album. You know, I feel like there's been a ton of output, really. This being a really great example of kind of, because for me, when I was listening to this, I heard a ton of different sounds. My first listen to the album, I didn't get it. You know, just to be completely honest.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I was confused. And then about the third or fourth time, it started to kind of make sense to me in terms of that almost scattershot array of sounds started to feed into kind of how you guys were talking about this possibly being a concept album.
Yeah.
If it isn't a concept album lyrically, I think that intentionally or not, it's a concept album musically.
Interesting.
Yeah, stuff I loved, and then stuff I was like, this just doesn't fit at all. And then obviously listening to it, you know, like 4, 5, 6 times through, it started to really grow on me as a whole album.
I feel like I'm that way about most albums. I got to listen to it a couple times through, and actually, this wasn't one of those albums. The first time I heard it, I was like, "Oh, this is rad."
Yeah, I was hooked right away too, man.
I heard one song on this album, dude, and I was like, "This is gonna be a fucking killer album." I've heard one song, it just blew me away. I don't know.
Yeah.
It grabbed me from the beginning, man.
Initially, the ones that really stuck with me were New Reality and Blinded by a Blaze.
Dude, I was humming Blinded by a Blaze for hours.
Yeah, I could listen to Blinded by a Blaze on repeat.
Yeah. Does anyone else have any like favorite tracks or any tracks that they just couldn't listen to that they didn't like?
I was in the car today, and I was like on a long drive, and I played this album, and I think I like sang along to like everything. There's so many hooks. I really like Heavy Pendulum, and I really like Blinded by a Blaze.
Nice. Yeah. I wrote down that Amaranthine, however you say that one. That one was one of my favorites. New Reality, Searchers in Hell, Blood Spiller. You know, there's some.
Wavering Angel was probably like one of my least favorites on the whole track, but it was still, I mean, it was still good, but that was probably one of the ones that I just didn't care too much for, was Wavering Angel.
I was curious about Wavering Angel, what everyone would think about it, because I think it's it's a smart and I think it's a pretty daring song. I could see it being pretty off-putting for a lot of
Yeah,
people.
it was. I don't know. Phenomenal song, man. Once again, the entire album is great, but that was one that really stuck out. That was a little bit different than the rest. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't
We need,
like.
we need a cough button for you, Paul.
Yeah, I know, man. Well, yeah.
I was surprised by it because like there are a couple like interlude tracks which I think helps lend to like the concept album. It's kind of like, okay,
Right.
here's a little respite before you get to the rest of the album. And I felt like Reckoning had so much melody in it that, and it's sort of like a breakdown at the end, that it kind of worked as a concluding track. And like me, if I was in the studio, like that's where I would have wanted it to conclude. And I don't have any beef with like Wavering Angel as a song, but I'm not like the biggest fan of it as the final track of the album, because I feel like Reckoning did that job.
Yeah,
for me.
Reckoning was interesting. I mean, obviously different from a lot of the rest of the album, but I thought it was a solid song.
Yeah. I really liked Wavering Angel. Like the first time I heard it, I was driving around and it was in a certain mood that song fit really well to the mood I was in, and I was like, oh my god, this is really epic sounding. And I showed it to my friends right away. I was like, check this out, and I was all excited about it. And,
Have you guys listened to Mutoid Man in the past?
yeah,
A little bit.
Yeah. I think Mutoid Man is fucking great. I knew of them like for years, long before this album came out, and I thought they were fucking great. They have an album called Bleeder that was really fucking great, and then they came out with the one after that called Warmones, I think, and really fucking good. But like his voice is so distinct to me that I got that feeling throughout this, but maybe this was like a little bit more like thought out, a little bit more like complex as music. But Mutoid Man is just like kind of in your face, and it's definitely worth checking out. I think it's always been one of my favorites. It's really good. But the vocal delivery of him, you know, like really stands out in both those bands. So
yeah, I like the mix of clean vocals, and then the bassist is doing the growly backups and back, like filling everything in, and sounds really huge.
Yeah. That's kind of why I kept comparing it to Mastodon. Was like the music was complex. They had different vocal deliveries, but there was like heaviness. There was like a growl, a scream. There was a clean, and it was just like what I wish Mastodon most of the time.
Yeah,
It's what Mastodon used to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they used to do it really well. I mean, better than most, and they don't do it quite. They don't do quite what I'm looking for anymore, but they're still great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious what everyone would think about the variations in vocal delivery, because I found myself more interested, maybe just because of my own personal taste, in a lot of the growling vocals.
Yeah.
Or when there was interplay. I found myself kind of a little, I don't want to say disinterested, but a little less interested when it was just clean vocals.
Yeah.
But I think that could also just be a matter of what I listen to when I'm relaxing.
Maybe, but I love that mix of like clean and like.
That's what I like too, man. I love that, dude. Yeah, I love it when they bring them both together.
And if you're just growling the whole time, I can get bored. And if it's just clean, it can feel a little too light for me. And if you listen to some of the old Cave In, it felt real light to me, like almost like a pop punk type of thing in some of their songs, and I wasn't into it. But this mix of like the growls and the screams and the clean was just like it's perfect.
Did anybody listen to the Towns Van Zandt album?
I did. Yeah, I wrote that down. I wanted to bring that up. I mean,
that was surprising.
As far as like Cave In, like their older stuff not really hitting the spot for me. It's cool that they made this Towns Van Zandt like covers collection. I think someone else is on that album too, but
there's like 2 or 3 other people on there,
but they do like that kind of acoustic and more folky like stuff really well too. I mean, this is like a really heavy album, and that Towns Van Zandt stuff they do it masterfully. They do it really well.
Yeah, on that Towns Van Zandt album too.
Sorry,
isn't Amon Ra on that Towns Van Zandt album as well?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that with that last song, Amaranthine, kind of getting into the folky stuff with that kind of song. It's pretty mellow, a lot of vocals, and it even has a little folkiness to it in certain parts. Amaranthine. There's certain parts. Yeah.
I thought that was like the heavier one. I thought that was like the heavier, faster one.
That I thought that was like the most mellow song on the album, but
I
that
don't
was
think so. I think we're talking about two different songs.
the very last song, Amaranthine.
No, last song is Wavering Angel, I think.
Yeah, that is definitely that's definitely the lowest one. But this one I thought was pretty mellow too. But
Yeah, I actually really dug how they were like, it's something that is not necessarily easy to do as a heavy band to go towards a mellow direction, because you really don't know what the fuck you're. I hope I can swear on this.
Yeah, you can.
damn it,
You've been
don't
on
do
here
that.
twice, bud.
Well, this is a little different. I don't know. But you don't know what the fuck your audience is gonna think. And it's a scary thing as a musician to take that jump. And I felt like they did that in multiple ways. I purposefully didn't listen to other Cave-In albums because I wanted to kind of take this for what it was as a statement. But I was genuinely impressed by their varying levels of heaviness and softness, melody and harshness. The first couple times I listened to the album, like we were listening to it on the road, and I was like, I don't get it. Like, I feel like this is just kind of thrown together. But the more that I listened to it, I was like, I see what they're doing here. Like, they're really making some daring moves, and they're essentially creating. To me, it sounded like almost like a set list.
They could definitely play this whole album through, and I don't think that anyone would be dissatisfied with it.
hell no.
Yeah, it's got so many like ebbs and flows, and it really reminds me of like a really smartly built set list.
Yeah.
Or concept album.
Yeah.
Right.
That's going to say that's why I thought it reminded me of a concept album in that way, in that manner.
Yeah. How did you describe it the other day, like on Instagram? Because I thought that pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Me?
How did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Shit, I don't either. But you nailed it. Regardless.
Yeah. To me, it's just a mix of like, a little bit of everything for everybody. It's stoner, it's progressive, it's sludge, it's metal, and to me it's like a Mastodon meets Mutoid Man type of thing. And I mean, that's how I would describe it to someone, but it was described to me mentioning Converge and mentioning Mutoid Man and mentioning this new band, and I get all those elements out of it for sure.
It to Blake's point, it is like a really vulnerable album, and I heard a lot of Baroness in it. And I think they do a really good job of being really heavy, but having sort of like that pained vocal delivery.
That's what you had said the other. Okay, that makes.
Is that what I said?
Yeah.
I also heard a lot of Torch in there too, especially with just like the and then the melody riding over top of it. You know what else I heard, which I was surprised about, and Paul, you talked about being like you're really into like classic rock and like the Styx. I grew up in like the 90s on like grunge and stuff, and I heard a lot of Fantastic Planet by Filter, especially on the end of Blinded by a Blaze, where there's like that sort of like weird melody at the end. Like, I was like, I kind of almost checked to be like, am I listening to Fantastic Planet right now? But also like those interludes are kind of built in the same way, and so the structure felt similar as well.
Yeah.
I would actually.
Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
I would say, man, I would actually. This is something I wanted to bring up. I would actually put this album right now, hands down, in probably my top 5 for the year, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be really hard not to for me. Just I know they're a bigger band. I tend to look towards the smaller bands and
right.
Like, pick something out of there, but it would be really hard not to include this for me anyway. Like, I just think it's so good all the way through. It's got all the stuff I look for. It's
everything, man.
It's not just like it's brutal. It's like
they hit every fucking mark, man, on this album.
Yeah, I would agree. Was there anything that you thought that they could like improve upon? I mean, where do you want them to go next, or we kind of talked about what their music sounded like before this and how they kind of hit the mark way better on this one. Like, was there anything that they missed the mark on, or that was missing, or that you would like to see more of in the future?
I want it to get heavier. Even
heavier, yeah.
I'd say that, yeah.
I like where it is. I hate to use the word bloat, but this is a long album. And like I said before, I didn't feel like Wavering Angel was necessary. They came super heavy out of the gate for me with New Reality, which now I kind of like. But if I were to revisit this, I would probably cut out a couple songs.
The middle of the album was solid, I thought.
Oh, absolutely. It was stunning.
Yeah, I almost wonder. So Pat, you seem to New Reality grew on you. Wavering Angel you kind of like, but you think it could be gone. Would you have liked it more if Wavering Angel was near the beginning and New Reality was at the end?
I think Wavering Angel could get cut, just because I don't know where else I would put it sonically. It doesn't really work as the intro. It works best as the outro because of the way Reckoning kind of concludes on the lighter note. But it's if anything, it would serve better maybe as it's a 12-minute track though. I don't know what I would do with it. It's a big track to
see. I loved Wavering Angel. I didn't like it at first, and then the more I listened to it, I was like, this is maybe my second or third favorite song on the album.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I think New Reality was a great opening song too, man. I think they picked a really good opening song. I think they picked a very good, exit song, and I think they picked the best song. Fucking Heavy Pendulum. that fucking song fucking kicks teeth, man. They picked the best song for the album. I mean, I don't know, man. I can't see anybody doing much better on this thing. It's gonna be hard to come back behind this motherfucker, man.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, the chorus on Heavy Pendulum is stuck in my head every time I listen to it.
God damn, dude, it's so good, man.
And then
I was just jamming it.
Pendulum ambient, or how you say it, the number 5, it just flows from that song in the Careless Offering so smoothly, and it's just a different feel. It's awesome.
So I wanted to bring up at some point Richie Beckett, who is the artist behind the artwork on this thing.
Oh man!
Because I just love it, man. I think it's fucking phenomenal, and
I love that.
So Richie Beckett is his name. He's the dude that made this artwork, which is just fucking amazing. I think it is great artwork for the album itself. Does anyone else have any thoughts on this music or this album art aside from it's fucking awesome?
Yes,
so I shared it with my cousin Mike, who you've collaborated with before, and the first thing he said was oh, that's a Richie Beckett piece. And I'm like, how the fuck do you even know that? But secondly, he's right, dude. It's fucking dope. And then secondly, my favorite part about getting into this whole genre or subgenre of all these different albums is the artwork. It's killer. Almost every album has stick artwork.
Yeah. Did anybody see or listen to the version that Relapse put out? Because each song comes up with different artwork. It was fucking phenomenal.
Oh, really? I know.
You have to watch the Relapse version. I pulled it up on YouTube last night, and every song, as it transitions, the song comes up, and there's different artwork. It made it so good, man.
Very cool. Yeah.
Paul, is it in the same style?
Same style, exact same style. It was the same artist. I didn't know who it was. That's the first time I think I've ever seen this guy, or maybe I just didn't know. But
so I think he did do some work for Mastodon. I think he did maybe their latest album, or the album before that, or maybe that EP or something. One of those he did.
Yeah, phenomenal, man. Phenomenal.
Ryan, to answer your original question though, Blake and I were talking about this album earlier, and I was like, this is good music for when you're depressed. And I think this artwork kind of matches that. There's nothing but destruction in this image. That kind of fits the tone of the album for sure.
Yeah. It kind of represents.
Eddie, you're the resident artist. What do you think, Eddie?
It really spoke to me because the the artwork, it has a lot going on there. And same thing with the album too. There's a lot of different influences on the album, and different like genres mixed together, and that's what I see in this picture too.
For sure. So I grabbed a couple other of Richie Beckett's artwork because he's done some cool posters. I know he's done some new like different album covers and stuff, but I thought some of his posters and stuff from his website were pretty rad too. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so Foo Fighters, I mean, obviously like probably one of the biggest ones that he contributes to,
cool.
but pretty rad.
Nice.
He did Queens of Stone Age. This is kind of a different style. I mean, there's only like, it's a one color thing. And it's kind of like almost like stippling or something, or you know, like pointillism almost. But
nice,
pretty cool. Mastodon, of course. This isn't obviously the album artwork, but he did some concert posters for him.
Sweet, man.
Yeah, this one's one of the better ones. This is crazy. If you like stare at this one, there's like so much going on in the, even in the background and stuff, and the colors are pretty awesome. Another Queens one. I like this one a lot. I like the colors on this one.
That's fucking bad.
Yeah. The Pixies. This one's pretty sweet.
Nice.
Whole, like European tour poster. Yeah. So dude's got skills, and I think he matched this album pretty well.
Yeah.
There's an interesting like classic nature to the artwork. Like I could see it just as much as some, like especially for the Cave-In album cover. I could see that as, you know, someone getting that as, you know, half of their sleeve as a tattoo or something like that.
100%. Yeah.
Some of his other artwork, it's very, you know, romantic. You know, it's very like early 19th century art. So it's interesting to see, like, you can tell it's the same guy, just because the use of movement. I feel like. But there's some diversity there. It's really cool.
For sure.
You guys have the record?
Not yet.
All those.
Good record.
Nice, dude.
I think I might order a print of that album. The art
For
just
sure.
hang on my wall for sure.
Right.
Fucking sick, man.
I see that they're playing shows. I don't know if they're coming to a town near you anytime soon.
I actually hit them up, dude, because they're doing a tour, and Texas wasn't on the tour, and I hit them up, and I was like, please, man, y'all need to come to Texas, dude. I'll do my best to get everybody there I can.
I
Yeah.
think they're from Boston, right? Are they from
They're from Boston. Yeah, they're touring, man. They're touring right now. Yeah, they're touring right now or this fall. It said fall tour. I don't know if it started yet or not, but I saw fall tour 2022, and I hit them up, you know, asked them to come to Texas, man. You know, fucking Austin, dude. It's the live music capital of the world. I don't know why some of these bands just bypass us all the time, but we got a lot of people here, man, that love the music.
I kind of noticed that when I lived in Austin for a couple of years. Like, some of the bigger bands wouldn't hit Austin, which I thought was kind of surprising.
No, yeah, they don't, man.
Yeah.
When I lived in Austin, I used to have to drive to Dallas or Houston sometimes.
Yeah, Dallas and Houston would get them, but Austin, you know,
Yeah.
I think Austin's more for like the independent and smaller acts and stuff sometimes.
They are, man, but they got some phenomenal venues that could definitely support them. You know, the Mohawk would be like a good place.
Yeah.
Great venue. I'm curious, what do you guys want from the next Cave-In album?
I agree, man. I want like just a tad bit more heaviness. I like the heaviness. I love the transitions, you know, between the kind of the mellower and the heavy, but I could personally use a little more heaviness myself.
I don't think you can ever really go wrong with a little heavier. Like, not because like everyone should just be getting heavier all the time necessarily, but like,
Right.
if you're gonna err on one side with your next album, I think it's always a fuck up to go lighter, and if you go a little heavier, no one's gonna be mad at you for it.
Right.
Hey, you missed the mark a little bit, maybe it wasn't the best, but no one's gonna be mad at you for going heavier. So like, I always would suggest going heavier for everybody. But
I think it'd be cool to hear something like a little like heavier but slower, like sludgier. Because a lot of the heavy songs on there they're pretty upbeat and fast. And
a lot of people
I love
describe
them.
him to me as like a sludge band, and I was like, well, I don't really hear sludge necessarily as much, but that's how they were described to me a couple times. And even on Wikipedia, it'll say like a sludge band, and I'm like, that's not how I like think of sludge necessarily. But
Yeah.
I would describe them more like almost like a prog like band. Like that's
I would too.
They're all over the place, but I think prog is probably the best umbrella.
I would say so.
At least on this record specifically.
Sure. Right. Yeah.
All right, they're a progressive doom psych stoner rock band.
Yeah, I mean that's what makes the record interesting. I feel like it's
fucking bad, man. Ooh, it's just fucking it's an unbelievable album, man.
Yeah, I love it when I listen to a record and I'm like, what do I call this? How do I describe this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole package, man, with the art, the artwork, it was everything, it was everything.
It would be interesting to go see them and see who the makeup of the crowd is. If it's like metalheads, or if it's like metal nerds, or if it's like stoners, or like who's going to this show. I'm sure it's a good mix, but it'd be interesting to see who the majority is.
Yeah, are there more flannel shirts or are there more black t-shirts?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was just curious. Did anybody check to see how that album placed on the Doom charts for May?
Yeah, I think it came in on the Doom charts, man. I don't remember what the number. It was in I think it was number 3. Don't quote me, man. Just on my mind, I remember. I think it was number 3. But
I don't remember the Doom chart specifically, but I looked at some
reviews.
Like
between 3 and 5, somewhere like that. It was like between 3 and 5, but they probably should. I had to go back and listen to number 1 because, like I said, hands down, this album is going to be in my top 5 for the year, if not,
they might be like
not number 1. I don't know.
They were number 6.
They were number 6. Oh, okay. Okay, number 6. Yeah, I knew they were like a little bit lower than I thought they should have been, personally.
But sometimes the bigger bands don't get like the Doom chart like love, right? I mean, like they're typically a little bit smaller bands and stuff, right?
That's why I was a little bit surprised. Honestly, I was a little bit surprised to see them Relapse band on there. I think they're the first Relapse band I've ever seen on the Doom chart. So I was surprised about that.
I know a lot of critics loved it though. I mean, I saw a lot of 10 out of 10.
Oh, dude.
A lot of like 90%. I saw a lot.
It's got a lot of doomy in it, man. It's got a lot of heavy, heavy bass in it.
Yeah. So, is there anything else that we want to say about this this album?
If anybody wants one, man, come to Cosmic Peddler and pick up an album, and I'm going to get some more, man. Especially after listening to it, I'm going to try to buy every fucking copy I can. This thing is a masterpiece, man.
Yeah. Any final
I did
thoughts?
really like it.
Yeah.
Like it was good to listen through over and over. It was good. Makes work go by better. I'll say that.
Yeah. I think in the future, like with the Fuzz Club, like we'll probably pick like some smaller bands in different genres and older albums or whatever. Like, but I think this was a really good one to start off, these episodes with, because it just hits so many sweet spots for so many people. They're big, but they're not so big that it's like really another person talking about this album. I mean, I think that it's a good size, and so we'll see where this whole thing goes. But I think it was a good one to start off on, and I think that. While it probably got lots and lots of listeners, that there's probably still a lot of people out there that have never heard this album, because I didn't know Cave In until this one, and it was their 7th album. So hopefully we turned a couple people onto it, I think. And
because they still got albums left, man. So like I said, I think this is a very underrated album because there's still albums left, and I know albums that Relapse sells out of pretty quick. I don't know how many that they pressed of this. But I'd say they probably did a standard, whatever they do standard, and I'm surprised they still have this one, man. Really surprised.
Well, I did a terrible job of starting this thing off with not giving everyone an intro at all, even though we just talked about it before I started. So if we want to go around and if you want to plug whatever you guys are up to and introduce yourself at the end of this episode, by all means. I don't know what it looks like on your screen, but Blake, you're the closest to me on screen. So if you want to take it away.
Yeah, I'm Blake from Aiwass. Just got back from a Midwest tour with Twin Wizard. We are, if you're in the Phoenix area, we are selling tickets for our show with Elder, Ruby the Hatchet, and Dreadnought. And then really in the near future, it's just going into the studio to record the second album. So Buy shirts, buy patches, buy vinyl. Help us record a second album.
Right on. Pat.
I'm Pat from Monster Riff. I'm also a Doom Charts contributor. The only thing I have to plug is just this week I published a podcast episode with John Garcia. I was super excited about it.
Fucking awesome.
So if you guys are watching and you got time, it's 45 minutes, so go check it out. I was super excited.
Very cool. My buddy Luke.
Luke, I'm Ryan's friend for way too long. And I just kind of got into some of this metal stuff a couple years ago when we started another playlist that evolved into Slightly Fuzzed. So
you helped me basically craft that Slightly Fuzzed playlist from the start. So
I love it. The heavier, the slower, the better when we started. But I'm grasping all the different intricacies of all the different subgenres.
Fuck yeah, Eddie.
Eddie, I play guitar in The Endless. We got our first album in the mix right now, coming out next year-ish. And I play bass in the Lords of the Opium Church, and we're in the middle of writing our second album right now. And we got a show on Saturday, so we might be doing like a live stream on Instagram, so keep your eyes open.
Oh, awesome. That's cool. Right on. Paul.
Cool, man. Paul with the Cosmic Peddler. I sell records. That's it, man. I try to work with underground bands and underground music and sell, doom, psych rock, stoner, metal, classic rock, all kinds of stuff.
Right on. Well, like I said, we have like kind of a crew of different people, so we'll see what this looks like episode 2 and 3 and 4 and going forward. So I think we have a good diverse group of people with different backgrounds and opinions on different styles and everything. So hopefully everyone enjoyed episode 1 of the Fuzz Club, and you go check out this Cave In album. And that's that.
Yeah, thanks for having us and doing what you do, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Thanks
See
so
you,
much,
everybody.
Later.
Take care.